In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to forget to prioritize ourselves. Yet carving out a few moments each morning for self-love and confidence building can set the tone for an empowered day ahead. Imagine starting each morning with a simple yet powerful ritual, affirming your worth, embracing your strengths, and fostering a deep sense of self-assurance. This practice isn't reserved for a select few. It's a gift you can give yourself every single day. Let's explore a series of affirmations and practices that, when repeated each morning, can profoundly enhance your relationship with yourself and elevate your confidence to new heights. We aim to understand our internal experiences, to identify what we need to relinquish. Instead of concealing our pain, we can fully release it. Persistent patterns of self-loathing, guilt, and self-criticism elevate stress levels in the body and compromise the immune system. With a deeper grasp of our inherent power, let's examine the obstacles hindering its utilization. It's common for most of us to encounter barriers, even after significant personal growth and clearing past hurdles. Fresh layers of old barriers continue to surface despite our efforts. Many of us harbor such deep-seated feelings of inadequacy that we convince ourselves we'll never measure up. Consequently, when we identify flaws within ourselves, we're inclined to find fault in others too. If we persist in attributing our limitations to parental influences, we're yet to mature. It's time to release these barriers and embrace the opportunity to learn something new. Consider how empowering it would be to discover a fresh idea each day, facilitating the release of past burdens and fostering harmony. As we gain awareness and comprehend life's unique journey, we'll discern the path forward. When you invest your efforts in self-discovery, you'll eventually identify the obstacles you need to overcome. Challenges are inherent in life. Everyone faces them. They're like lessons in the curriculum of Earth. Some grapple with health issues, others with relationships, careers, or finances. Many contend with a mix of these. A significant hurdle for most is recognizing what they need to release. Despite sensing dissatisfaction and knowing what they desire, they're unsure of what holds them back. Thus, it's crucial to examine the barriers constraining us. Reflect on your recurring patterns and obstacles. Do they revolve around criticism, fear, guilt, or resentment? These are what I refer to as the Big Four. Which one resonates with you most? For me, it was a blend of criticism and resentment. Perhaps you relate and have a couple of predominant categories. Is fear your constant companion? Or does guilt weigh heavily on you? Do you tend towards criticism or harbor resentment? It's worth noting that resentment often stems from suppressed anger. If you believe expressing anger is unacceptable, you likely carry a reservoir of resentment. We cannot ignore or dismiss our feelings. They demand acknowledgement. When I received my cancer diagnosis, I was forced to confront myself honestly. I had to admit some uncomfortable truths, like harboring deep resentment and carrying old bitterness. I told myself, Louise, there's no time to indulge in negativity anymore. You need to change. To echo Peter McWilliams, you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. Our experiences always reflect our inner beliefs. By examining our experiences, we can uncover our beliefs. It might be unsettling, but the people in our lives often mirror beliefs we hold about ourselves. If criticism is a constant at work, it's likely because we are critical ourselves, perhaps echoing a critical parent. Everything in our lives reflects who we are. When discomfort arises externally, it's an opportunity to introspect and ask, how am I contributing to this? What belief within me is attracting this experience? We often find ourselves caught in familiar family patterns, tempted to lay blame on our parents, upbringing, or environment. However, this mindset only keeps us trapped, preventing us from experiencing true freedom. Instead of evolving, we remain victims, repeating the same cycles of behavior. The past, regardless of what was done to us or taught to us, holds no power over the present moment. Today is an opportunity for a fresh start, where we hold the reins of our destiny. No external influence, not even my words, can catalyze change within you. The responsibility lies solely with you to reshape your thoughts, emotions, and actions. But take heart. You possess an inner strength capable of breaking free from these patterns, if you're willing to tap into it. Reflect on the purity of your infancy, a time when self-love was innate. Babies don't criticize their bodies. They revel in their existence, expressing joy and discontent freely. They embody authenticity, unafraid to communicate their emotions. Yet as we mature, we absorb the fears, guilts, and criticisms of those around us. If our upbringing was steeped in criticism, it's likely to manifest in our adult behavior. But recognizing this cycle is the first step toward liberation. Today, embrace the spirit of that carefree child within you, reclaiming the ability to live in the moment, unburdened by past conditioning. If your upbringing discouraged expressing anger, you might now fear confrontation, keeping it bottled up inside. Similarly, if guilt was a tool for control in your family, you may find yourself apologizing excessively and struggling to ask for what you need directly. These learned behaviors can lead us away from our true selves, but it's crucial to shed them and reconnect with our inner wisdom. By releasing these false beliefs, we can rediscover the purity of spirit and love for ourselves. It's about returning to the innocence and joy of life, reminiscent of a baby's wonderment in each moment. Consider envisioning the reality you desire for yourself. Express your aspirations in positive terms, avoiding negativity. Stand before a mirror, gaze into your own eyes, and recite your affirmations. As you do, be mindful of the barriers that emerge, particularly when affirming statements like, "I love and accept myself." Take note of any negative thoughts or messages that surface, for in acknowledging them lies the key to your liberation. Often these messages stem from criticism, fear, guilt, or resentment inherited from past influences. Some of you may face daunting challenges in this lifetime, yet I believe our true purpose is to cultivate self-love despite external judgments. We have the capacity to transcend the limitations imposed by our upbringing, whether from parents or peers. If you were raised to conform to a narrow worldview, it doesn't mean you're flawed. Rather, you simply absorbed what was taught. Now, as adults, we may find ourselves echoing the beliefs of our upbringing. This isn't a fault. It's a testament to the effectiveness of our early teachers. Yet now is the time to forge our own paths, to think independently and shape our own beliefs. For many of us, facing resistance when we stand before the mirror and recite affirmations is a common experience. Yet it's important to recognize that resistance marks the initial step towards change. Often, we yearn for our lives to transform, but when confronted with the need for action, we hesitate, saying, "Me? Do something different? No, thank you." Alternatively, some may be overwhelmed by feelings of despair. Consider the scenario where you stand before the mirror and utter the words, "I love you." In response, the inner child within you may lament, "Where have you been all this time? I've longed for your acknowledgement," triggering waves of sadness due to the neglect endured by that inner child over time. During one of my workshops, a woman disclosed her profound fear. When asked about its source, she bravely revealed her history as a survivor of incest. This experience resonates with many, as numerous individuals navigate their paths toward healing from such trauma. Despite the prevalent discourse on incest in today's society, it's unlikely that its occurrence has increased. Instead, our societal evolution has led to a greater acknowledgement of children's rights, enabling us to confront and address this deeply rooted issue. To address the issue effectively, we must first acknowledge it and then proceed to work through it. Therapy plays a crucial role in aiding survivors of incest. It provides a secure environment where we can confront and process our emotions. By releasing the anger, rage, and shame, we pave the way for self-love and acceptance, irrespective of past experiences. It's important to remember that the emotions we experience are just that, emotions, and they don't define our present reality. Creating a sense of safety for our inner child is essential. We should commend ourselves for our resilience in surviving such experiences. Dealing with issues like incest can make it challenging to accept that the perpetrator may have been acting based on their limited understanding and awareness at the time. It's a harsh reality that acts of violence often stem from the perpetrator's own experiences of violation. Healing is a universal need, and as we learn to embrace and value ourselves, we reduce the likelihood of causing harm to others. Criticism is detrimental to our well-being. When we criticize others, we often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of self-criticism. It's time to recognize that this approach is ineffective. Instead, let's practice self-approval and acceptance in the present moment. Critically minded individuals tend to attract criticism due to their ingrained patterns. Remember, perfection is unattainable. Embracing our imperfections is key to growth and self-compassion. When we find fault in others, we're truly finding fault within ourselves. Each person mirrors aspects of ourselves, so what we perceive in others reflects back on us. Often we struggle to embrace all parts of ourselves. We may resort to harmful habits like alcohol, drugs, or overeating to punish ourselves for not meeting certain standards that may not even be our own. It's crucial to release those expectations and simply exist. You'll discover that you're already wonderful just as you are in this very moment. If you've always been prone to criticism, seeing life through a negative lens, it'll take time to change your perspective and become more loving and accepting. Be patient with yourself as you unlearn this habit of criticism, which isn't the truth of who you are. It's just a pattern. Imagine a world where nobody criticizes you, where you're loved and accepted by everyone. You can cultivate this inner peace by embracing what makes you unique and special. Living with oneself can be an incredibly enriching experience. Waking up each morning, filled with the anticipation of spending another day with oneself, can bring immense joy. When one truly loves who they are, it naturally brings forth their best self. This isn't to suggest that one becomes a better person, as that implies inadequacy in the present. Rather, loving oneself leads to discovering more positive avenues for meeting personal needs and expressing authenticity. Guilt often fosters feelings of inferiority. Frequently, individuals use negative messaging as a means to control others easily. When faced with attempts to induce guilt, it's crucial to question the intentions behind such actions. Instead of passively accepting guilt, one should inquire, what is the motive behind this? Why is this happening? Many parents resort to guilt-tripping their children due to their own upbringing. They may fabricate falsehoods to diminish their children's self-worth. Even as adults, some individuals continue to be manipulated by family and friends. This persists primarily because they lack self-respect allowing manipulation to persist. Moreover, some may themselves employ manipulative tactics. Many of you carry a burden of guilt, always feeling in the wrong or constantly apologizing for perceived mistakes. You struggle to forgive yourself for past actions and often criticize yourself for the events in your life. It's time to let go of these burdens. You don't have to continue living this way. For those of you plagued by guilt, it's time to assert yourself and reject manipulative behavior. This doesn't mean you have to become angry, but you don't have to engage in their games anymore. If saying no feels unfamiliar, keep it simple. No, I cannot do that. Avoid giving excuses, as they can be used against you. When manipulative individuals realize their tactics no longer work, they'll stop. Remember, people can only control you if you allow them to. The initial times you refuse something may stir up guilt, but it gradually lessens with practice. I recall an instance from one of my talks where a woman shared her experience of having a baby with a congenital heart condition. She grappled with guilt, believing she somehow caused it. However, dwelling in guilt doesn't resolve matters. In her situation, there was no wrongdoing. I suggested to her that perhaps it was a soul's choice for the baby, a lesson for both mother and child. I advised her to focus on loving her baby and herself, releasing the burden of misplaced guilt, as it doesn't foster healing. If you regret something, cease doing it. If past actions haunt you with guilt, grant yourself forgiveness. If possible, make amends and commit to not repeating the mistake. Each time guilt surfaces in your life, inquire within. What beliefs about myself still linger? Whose approval am I seeking? Take note of the childhood notions that resurface. In cases where individuals approach me following a car accident, there's often a hidden layer of guilt accompanied by a desire for retribution. Moreover, there might be suppressed resentment stemming from a sense of unworthiness to assert oneself. Guilt craves punishment. Thus, we often become our own judge, jury, and executioner, locking ourselves in a self-imposed confinement. We inflict punishment upon ourselves, with no one to advocate on our behalf. It's crucial to grant ourselves forgiveness and liberate ourselves. During one of my seminars, an elderly woman grappled with immense guilt concerning her middle-aged son. As an only child, he grew into an exceedingly reserved individual. She carried the weight of guilt for her strict upbringing of him. I reassured her that she had done her best with the knowledge she had at the time. I believe her son chose her as his mother before he was born into this life, so on a spiritual level, he was aware of his choice. I advised her not to expend her energy on feeling guilty about something she couldn't change. She sighed and expressed regret, saying, "It's sad that he turned out this way, and I feel like I failed." However, dwelling on these feelings doesn't benefit her son or herself. It only weighs her down and fosters feelings of inadequacy. Instead, I suggested that whenever those feelings arise, she could affirm, "I refuse to dwell in guilt. I am open to learning to love myself, and I accept my son just as he is." By consistently practicing this, she could gradually shift the pattern and liberate them both. Even if we struggle to love ourselves, being willing to do so can make a significant difference. Holding on to these old patterns isn't worthwhile. The ultimate lesson is always about self-love. The essence of her lesson was not just about healing her son, but about learning to love herself. Her son's journey in this life is to find self-love as well. It's a journey they must each undertake individually. She can't do it for him, and he can't do it for her. Often, Organized religions instill guilt in people, especially from a young age, to maintain control. However, as adults, we have the autonomy to choose our beliefs. While our inner child may still carry that guilt, the adult in us can offer guidance and reassurance. Suppressing emotions only leads to inner turmoil. Loving oneself means allowing emotions to surface, even if it means facing old wounds. Affirmations can aid in this process, making it smoother and more comfortable. For example, I release old negative beliefs with ease. Change is natural and comfortable for me. My path forward is smooth. I'm free from my past is a powerful declaration. Avoid adding judgment to your emotions. Doing so only suppresses them further. If you're facing significant dilemmas or crises, reassure yourself that you're safe and open to experiencing your feelings. Embracing these positive emotions can lead to constructive changes. Chapter 6 delves into the importance of expressing your emotions. While tragedies can be devastating, they also offer opportunities for growth. Addressing anger in a healthy manner is crucial. Anger, like any emotion, is valid. If left unexpressed, it can manifest inwardly, potentially leading to physical or emotional ailments. Often, anger arises from recurring issues. Suppressing it fosters resentment, bitterness, or depression. It's essential to address anger as it arises. Communicating openly with the person involved can be therapeutic. Expressing your feelings directly, such as by saying, "I'm angry because," can alleviate pent-up emotions. When anger builds up to the point of wanting to scream, it's likely been festering for some time, often due to a perceived inability to communicate with the other person. The next best method for releasing anger is by addressing yourself in the mirror. Find a secure and uninterrupted space. Look directly into your own eyes or focus on your mouth or nose if direct eye contact feels uncomfortable. Visualize yourself and/or the individual you feel has wronged you. Recall the moment anger ignited within you and allow yourself to fully experience it. Begin articulating your grievances to this reflection, expressing your anger without reservation. For instance, you might say, "I am angry because," or "I feel hurt because of your actions," or "I am afraid because." Let all your emotions out. If the urge to release physically arises, grab some pillows to punch or twist a towel. Don't suppress your anger any longer. It's been bottled up for too long. There's no need for guilt or shame. Our emotions serve a purpose and need release. By liberating them from your mind and body, you create space for more positive experiences. After expressing your anger to others, strive to forgive them. Forgiveness liberates you, benefiting yourself primarily. If forgiveness is unattainable, the process becomes a negative cycle rather than a healing one. It's crucial to differentiate between releasing past grievances and merely dwelling on them. You might express, "That situation is concluded. Though I don't condone your actions, I recognize you did your best with the knowledge you had. I release you and myself from this burden." Repeat this process until you genuinely feel free from anger, focusing on one or multiple issues as needed. Additionally, explore other techniques for anger release. Here are some ways to release pent-up emotions. Scream into a pillow, kick or beat pillows, hit the bed or a punching bag, write a letter expressing your anger and then burn it, scream in your car with the windows up, engage in physical activities like tennis, golf, exercise, swimming or running, or simply punch the air. You can also try writing or drawing with your non-dominant hand. The creative process can naturally help release emotions. For instance, one person at my seminar used an egg timer to limit his screaming session to 10 minutes, allowing himself to vent frustrations and anger about his father. Another alternative is to find activities that don't alarm pets, such as screaming in the car, digging in the garden, or playing with a ball. The key is to find a safe and physical outlet for your emotions. Take care not to act recklessly or endanger yourself or others. Remember to connect with your inner self, delve within, and trust that there's a solution to your anger waiting to be discovered. Engaging in meditation and visualizing your anger leaving your body can be immensely therapeutic. Project love towards those you're in conflict with and witness how your affection dissolves any discord between you. Be open to fostering harmony. Perhaps your anger is signaling a breakdown in communication with others. Acknowledging this allows you to address and rectify it. Many people attest to feeling much happier after releasing pent-up anger towards someone else. It's like shedding a heavy burden. One of our students struggled to express her anger outwardly, despite understanding it intellectually. Once she allowed herself to express it, she experienced a significant emotional release. Maybe you've carried habitual anger throughout your life, where any trigger sparks your rage. Another occurrence triggers your anger once again, and it repeats, fueling your ongoing frustration. Yet anger remains your only response, a habit that resembles childish behavior, driven by an insistence on having things your way. Pause to reflect. Why do I persist in this cycle of anger? What actions or beliefs perpetuate these situations that provoke me? Is anger truly the sole reaction I can muster in the face of life's challenges? Is this the outcome I truly desire? Whom am I punishing or attempting to appease through this constant state of agitation? Consider the beliefs underlying these frustrations. What signals am I sending out that invite others to provoke me? Why do I equate anger with achieving my objectives? It's important to acknowledge that while injustices occur and anger can be a valid response, habitual anger is detrimental as it embeds itself within your body. Shift your focus. Take a moment to face yourself in the mirror and ask, who am I? What are my true desires and sources of happiness? How can I cultivate joy within myself? By probing these questions, you begin to unravel the roots of your habitual anger, paving the way for a more conscious and constructive approach to life's challenges. Now is the opportune moment to cultivate a fresh internal space within yourself, one that fosters love, optimism, and cheerfulness. It's common for people to become irate while behind the wheel, often venting frustrations about other reckless drivers on the road. However, long ago, I made peace with the reality that I could choose not to let someone else's lack of adherence to driving rules ruin my mood. So my approach to driving involves infusing my car with love as I step in. I firmly believe and affirm that I am always surrounded by competent, joyful drivers. Through my convictions and affirmations, everyone around me becomes a skilled driver. Consequently, when I'm on the road, there are very few instances of poor driving around me. Those instances seem to gravitate toward individuals who are agitated and angry. Remember, your car reflects you, just as everything and everyone else do. Inject some affection into your vehicle, and then radiate that affection to everyone you encounter on the roads and highways. I hold the belief that the components of your car mirror those of your body. Consider this. One of my colleagues felt devoid of direction, unable to discern the path her life should take. One morning she awoke to find her windshield shattered. Similarly, an acquaintance of mine felt stagnated, trapped in inertia, and suddenly found himself with a flat tire, immobilized. While it may initially seem whimsical, it strikes me as intriguing how the language these individuals used to articulate their mental states also reflected the condition of their cars. The absence of vision parallels the inability to see ahead. The windshield serves as a poignant metaphor. Similarly, experiencing a state of being stuck can be likened to encountering a flat tire. The next time you encounter a car issue, take a moment to reflect on what the malfunction symbolizes and see if you can draw parallels to your current emotions or life circumstances. You might be surprised by the insights gained. I have a notion to compile these reflections into a book I'll whimsically entitle, Heal Your Automobile Someday. There was a period when the connection between the body and mind was not fully grasped. But now it's time to broaden our perspective further, to acknowledge the correlation between machinery and mind. Each situation we encounter serves as an opportunity for growth and can be managed in a way that benefits us. Anger is a universal emotion. No one is exempt from experiencing it. However, the key lies in recognizing it and channeling its energy towards healthier avenues. Should illness befall you, resist the urge to succumb to anger. Instead, fill yourself with love and grant yourself forgiveness. And for those who care for the sick, remember to prioritize your own well-being as well. If you keep suppressing your emotions, you'll end up harming yourself and your relationships. It's crucial to find healthy outlets for your feelings. Once you learn to manage your anger constructively, you'll notice positive changes in your life. Holding on to resentment can lead to various health issues. It's like burying anger within yourself, which eventually corrodes your well-being, sometimes manifesting as physical ailments like tumors or cancers. Repressing anger isn't good for your health. Many of us were taught to suppress our anger, especially women, who were often discouraged from expressing it. But now, we realize that holding on to anger only hurts us. It's time to let it go.